Well, hello. Wanted to talk today about sprucing up chord progressions by using secondary dominant chords, tritone subs, and just putting them to use and seeing how they work. And secondary dominants are really cool. So let's try a target chord bass. And what it's going to be is we'll do C major 7, right? And then my next target tone will be the 3 minor. And then I'll go down to the 6 minor, to the 2 minor, to the 5. I think I'll make that a G sus 4. Okay, so. Okay, so that's the basic chord progression. So that's all my target chords. So it's a 1, 3 minor, 6 minor, 2 minor, 5, 7, back to the 1, right? So first secondary dominant I'm going to utilize will be for the E minor. Its dominant would have been B7. So I'm going to gravitate. I'm going to put that right in between me going to the E minor. So it'll sound like this. Right? So let's say maybe I only do that, and so what I did right there, okay, I got down onto the 6 minor. It was an A minor 7, right? Now, don't forget the 2 is D, and A is the 5 of D, but I'm in the wrong kind of chord. I'm on a minor chord. So what if I made it a dominant 7th? You can see how well it goes into that D minor that way, right? So I set that up. I could have done the same thing when I left the E minor. So I could have done E minor to E7 to the A minor. And the E7 would have been the secondary dominant of the A minor. Okay. So that's all we're doing. We're looking for five chords. Okay. So I'll run through it using just secondary dominants, and then we're going to take it up a step further even. I got a little away from it on that D minor. I extended on that, and then I actually did a F minor 6 for a moment, and then went into the G7 sus. But so you can see how those secondary dominants really fill things out, though. Snuck in a little B7 just to go into the C, because it's a half step, closure, so why not? All right, so now let's take a look at another thing, okay? So I'm going to use some of the what we call the tritone substitution dominant 7th chords. It's a 5 of 5, but it's a flat 5 of 5 actually, right? So our first sub that we had was the B7. So the flat 5 of B7 is F, right? So I could have done that instead of B7. So it would have sounded something more like this. Right? There, instead of using the E flat, the E7 to go to the A minor, I used the sub 5 of 5, so I used the B flat and slipped in. So what happens when you use tritone subs, instead of you progressing in 5 to 1, which is really just thinking 4s, right? So like if I'm on B and I'm thinking of my next chord, I'm thinking up B, C, D, E. Oh, I'm going E. Then when I'm thinking from E, E, F, G, A, right? A, B, C, D, D, E, F, G, G, A, B, C, right? So you always, to do a 5 to 1, just think up in 4s. You know, it's the way to go forward. Not sit there and ponder, okay, what's the 5 chord of this particular chord, you know? So that's wasted time. You can't get there that quickly. But of course you need to know all the information, so that's always, you know, that helps. But yeah, so these tritones, so when you're not using the tritones and you're just doing secondary dominants, you're thinking of, you know, like I said, progressing up in 4s. And when you're doing the tritone substitutions, you're creating chromatic passing tones. So the C, I move to F, which is kind of a secondary dominant, isn't it? Well, C to F, right? I moved in a 4th, but it's really functioning as that flat 5 of the B7 and got me into the A. And then, remember, I could have done E7 to get to A minor. I'm going to do the B flat 7. See? And then I'm going for that D minor, right? So the 5 of D minor is A. Why don't I use then the E flat? See how that works? So I'll go for all the way from the top and go into there, okay? Yeah, so it's fun stuff to be considering there. So secondary dominants. So, and on anything in the key of C, well, in any key, right? So I got C major 7. So it's second, well, it doesn't even have a secondary dominant. It has a primary dominant of G7. Right? Or I could use the plagal 4 to 1, right? We've already seen that. So let's say I'm going from C major 7 to D minor 7, right? So I could use the secondary dominant to approach that. So I could throw that right in between that. Now, another cool thing to look at, okay, this is those funny little diminished chords that show up in between things, right? So a lot of times, if I'm thinking from C major 7, I'm going to D minor, I still can think of A7, but what if I thought of it as an A7 flat 9, which is really, actually in disguise, a diminished chord. So if I went from C major 7 to C sharp diminished, or really C sharp and G, that's the 3 and the 5, 3 and the flat 7 of the A7 chord. I got B flat, oh, flat 9, and then I have a 5. Right? See, so that works too. Same idea right here, you know. So where am I going? Going for E minor. Well, the D sharp and the A is the 3 and the flat 7 of a B7 chord, right? And then it's a B7 flat 9, so that's why it's got a C sitting on. And then I got the F sharp, so I got the 5 again. Right? So yeah, it all kind of turns full around on itself as to how things are really functioning. So these diminished in between chords, connecting chords, they're really dominant 7 flat 9 chords, and they'll handle the whole full truth of the secondary dominants as to which one they really were. So that's a nice thing, about that. When you see this, harmonic analysis and start making sense of it, then you start seeing it from all the other directions that you can go into it, and it all comes together. When you finally look at it from that point of view, is that hey, I've used that chord before, but I used it in a different way. And then, of course, using alter dominants, now you're just getting a little more jazzier, a little more tense on your release, So that's all alter dominants do, is they just create a little more tension than you would have normally got out of the normal dominant 7th chord. Dominant 7th chords, always tension. Minors and majors, almost always some sort of a release, right? That's some sort of something I'm going to. And you might have noticed that when I did like the C major to the B7, the E minor sounded beautiful. And it's also, E minor 7 is really C major 7, just playing off the 3rd, right? I got E, G, so I got the 3, the 5, I got the B, that's the 7, and I got the D. If I do it as a minor 7th, then I got a 9. So I have a C major 9, just rootless. There's no C in there, but all the other elements are there. So that's, you know, another example of that. You know, these or just like A minor 7 is really a C major 6. It's just all the same notes from a different avenue, right? So if I did C, E, G, A, I got a basic triad of C, E, G with an A on top of it, so that's the major 6. But if I threw the A in the front, A, C, E, G, you'd say, geez, that's an A minor 7 chord. So there's a lot of chords with, you know, depending on how you look at them, is the multiple naming of them, or they create chord substitutions. You know, so they're chords that could be utilized as opposed to, you know, what's on the written page maybe, or places you could go visit would be a better way of summarizing that. You know? So it's all connected. It's all beautiful. So enjoy it, and you know, I find music theory intriguing. To me, it's you know, because the thing I like to be intrigued by is that I don't really want to have to think about it. I want to know it so well that I don't think about it. And so the only way to get there is to just know it as well as you possibly can, you know. And then, yeah, you can put it on the back burner and just play music, and it'll all help you. All right. Well, thanks a lot. Thanks for listening. I had the air conditioning going because we're in a sweltering hot heat wave, so I hope the background noise wasn't too bad. And I think Sparky might have made a couple of cameo visits too.